Right, I'm going to do a short session for knees. So we're going to look at things to help the range of movement, stretching out the different muscle groups around the knee joints and thinking about the function of the knee. So the knee is a hinge between the hip and the ankle. So the first thing we're going to do just to warm it up is we're actually going to do some squats. And often people will feel it in their knees when they squat because they squat pushing into their knees and they make this the primary muscle. You want your glutes to be the primary muscle, so we're going to practice squatting by reaching your sit bones back behind you so your knees aren't dropping forwards too much and you're not putting too much pressure in your quads muscle. So the engine is dropping and then pushing back up from your glutes. Reaching your sit bones and pushing back up. Reaching, you can have your hands on your hips, reaching and pushing back up. And reaching and pushing back up. Reach wide, really wide in the sit bones, flatten the lower back. Send those sit bones wide and push up. Reach and push up. Reach and push up. And reach and push from your glutes, don't pull from your knees. Reach and push. Reach and push. And reach and push. And you want to practice that until you feel the work coming here and not coming here. And then you know that you've got the mechanics right for the knee joint being a hinge instead of taking all the force and ending up becoming uncomfortable. So then the next thing I want to do is make it a more of an active full body movement. And so you're going to reach back and reach your arms back. And you're going to swing them forwards and come up. And swing back and swing them forwards. Swing back, swing forwards, swing. Really thinking about soft, bouncy legs. Let them hinge and push up. Hinge and push from the glutes. Hinge and push. Hinge and push. And you can add a toe raise at the end if you want to. So you come up onto the foot and ankle. So you strengthen that foot and ankle complex too. And if you're feeling really energetic, you can add a jump. And you're letting the whole leg do the work. So you're concertinaing and using the stored energy to release. So you're not feeling that this is doing all the work. So having just warmed those legs up, we're now going to do a few stretches. So the main stretches around the legs are your quads and your hamstrings. So to get a really good quad stretch, you want to stand up tall, use a chair for balance or a worktop, or a wall even. And the first thing you want to do when you hold one foot is make sure that your thighs are parallel and that this leg is not forwards of the other knee. The second thing you want to check, and if you've got a mirror it's brilliant, is check that your waist is equal, because quite often people will drop or do something weird with their hips. So you want to feel square in your pelvis when you're in this position. So you're stretching in your optimum position. Often if you're not square, when you look at yourself, when you try and correct it, you will feel a tightness somewhere that you're trying to protect. So you want to try and find that tightness and try and stretch it out. So standing tall, the most important thing when you stretch your quads muscle is that you don't increase the curve in your back. So you want to think about your connection between your pubic bone and your rib cage with your central muscles working, and as you pull that foot towards your bottom, lengthening here, you don't want to see the back move. And you're reaching your kneecap to the floor and trying to lengthen your thigh bone out of its hip socket almost. So you really imagine you're lengthening out of that hip. And you're pulling your belly in so that you don't collapse through your lower back. And breathe. And again, it's the out breath. You melt that thigh on the out breath and then releasing off. We're going to do the same on the other side. Bending up the leg. Checking that your knee is level with your other knee and that you haven't got it forwards. Checking that your pelvis is square. This leg for me, I twist slightly. So I have to just correct the hip on this side because it tends to want to do something else. And when I correct it, I feel more tightness. So breathing out and using the out breath as you're lengthening and stretching. Keep the belly in, keep the rib to pubic bone stable. So your lower back is not collapsing, and you're drawing your lower belly up as you release your knee down to the floor. Pull your heel bone into your bottom and use that out breath, breathing. As you breathe, try and reach the knee a little bit more. And reach. And releasing off. Lovely. The next one is the hamstring stretch. And this is really important that we do this correctly. So you can put your foot on a chair, and if you can maintain a neutral spine, then that's fine. If even to get your foot on a chair, you've had to collapse your lower back and you've flexed your lumbar spine, then you need to start on something lower. So you want to start on something where you can keep your lower back in neutral and not collapse it, all right? And then you want to tip forwards from the pelvis, trying to widen the sit bones and reach them back behind you. So I'm trying to reach, you can bend the other knee if that helps, if that's tight. So you're thinking of widening across here and sending your sit bones wide. And then you should feel that stretch through the backs of the legs into the back of the knee. So you don't want to do that collapsing. You want to reach your tailbone, reach it back behind you, keeping your natural inward curve here. And feel that you've got an inward curve here. If you've rounded it and flattened, you want to stick your bum back further. And breathing, and on the out breath, find that release, lengthening. And then we do the same on the other leg, placing it up, checking whether you've got symmetry, whether you can do this leg on the same height surface, or whether you need something lower, or whether you can do something higher. You need that inward curve. And then you tip forwards at the hips, not rounding and collapsing at the lower back. So a lot of people will do this as a hamstring stretch, but not realise that their tail's tucked under and the hamstring stretch is taken off. So you want to send your sit bones back behind you wide. So if your other knee's bent, that's fine, but I'm tipping my pelvis forwards, not backwards. Reaching it backwards, finding that length, breathing. Using the out breath to think of melting muscles, lengthening through. Breathing in and breathing out, keeping that flat back or that slightly inward curve. Don't find that rounded position. And releasing off. Lovely. So you've stretched the backs and the fronts, and we've done a little bit of work in the quads. That's all we're going to do for the knees, because, oh no, there was one more I was going to do. Sorry, forgot that one. This one is about the knee mechanics of opening at the hip. So we're going to do a lunge where you drop the knee straight to the floor, and then you pull back out using your glute wrapping. So it helps lengthen the tendon through the front of, the muscle, the long muscle across the front of the hip and knee, through to the floor, and then release back. Dropping the knee to the floor and releasing back. Dropping the knee straight down and pull it back from the glute. Drop the knee down and reach through the heel, pull back from the glute. Drop the knee, reach through the heel, pull back from the glute. Drop the knee, reach and pull back. Drop the knee, reach and pull back. Drop the knee. You should feel your glute working. And drop the knee and pull back. You shouldn't have too much work in this leg because this is the driving leg. We're going to switch around the other way. So now, same thing, you're dropping the knee straight to the floor, and then you're driving it back by engaging your glute rather than pushing your quads. And that should take the work away from here. Dropping the knee, pull back from the hip. 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 Dropping the knee, pull back. Dropping the knee, pull back. Lovely. Again, if any of those muscles or exercises are difficult or tight, then you need to practice this video until they don't feel difficult or tight anymore. Unless you have some underlying pathology, of course, in which case you need to maybe seek some more advice. But if you know everything is good and any of those are difficult, you need to practice until they feel easy. All right, thank you.